Hi, everyone. We're thrilled to be here at the Women of Wisdom Conference. It's so great to be connecting with so many people doing amazing things in the world. And Melissa's joining me here today. Melissa Wadsworth is joining me here today. One of the folks here at the conference, you know, our theme this year is creating a better world. You know, we just started a crowdfunding initiative, not traditional crowdfunding, a new paradigm in crowdfunding, and based on a community of people giving and receiving. And so, you know, for us, it gets to be interesting talking to people that have been all about creating a better world for a lot of years.
Right.
Thank you for joining me here today. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
And I noticed you have a book.
I do have a book.
Show everybody.
It's Collective Manifestation, Heart-Centered Blueprints for Creating Intentional Community.
Yes,
So it is
exactly.
right on the community theme. Yeah, it's like we all got the same memo.
We've got this. But let's talk about this,
Okay.
because, you know, when I went back to school, we studied about different cultures. And one of the things that was said about our culture here is that we're individualistic. But even though we know how to come together for a cause. We really do. But when I think about manifestation, I think we had gone through a lot of different phases with the term. You know, it was given a lot of emphasis in the movie The Secret, then people got really annoyed at it. What does collective manifestation mean?
Collective manifestation in this context is related to the community idea. So, of course, in the West here, very individuals, but we've sort of taken that paradigm as far as it can go to the point where now people are feeling isolated instead of empowered by being their individualism self. So there was a time when let's just see what I can go out and I can accomplish and succeed, and that was enough. You know, that was a good opportunity for a lot of people to see what they could do with their gifts and their talents.
Right.
But you know, now it's gotten to a point where, okay, we've all mastered that. Let's face it, we've all manifested to a great degree around the idea of being an individual. And so now it seems like there's this collective longing to belong in a meaningful way, to still use your gifts, to still be valued and recognized for who you are as an individual. You're not trying to go into some group setting and lose your sense of self. You want yourself empowered still, but yet you want to come together for things that really matter for the planet at this time. So that takes us into the collective and what we can manifest when we come together, because let's face it, we've all already mastered how to be an individual.
Boy, have we ever.
Yes,
you know, I have a friend who is Val John Ferris, who was an amazing speaker, wrote a fabulous book, and found himself homeless in Sacramento. And I remember him saying to me once, you know, he said, you know, it's taken me a lot of years to be part of a community. Now I'm part of a community that actually has a name. Homeless. He has since started a nonprofit, I Care America, and so forth and so on. But one of the things that, you know, you said that's important and in line with what he says is that we are learning that we cannot do the things we're called to do alone. I think we're learning that. And sometimes I think we're learning it harshly.
Well, I think we get the message, and that's how the whole book and my own group idea came, is I got the seed. You're not supposed to create a retreat center. We don't need people retreating from the world. We need people engaged with the world and engaged with each other in a way that gives them that sense of belonging and satisfaction. So I feel lucky that I got the message. And
you got the memo.
And I got the memo, and I played with, okay, well then what does that mean? If I'm supposed to be part of a village versus creating something that's setting people apart, if it's supposed to be inclusive, not exclusive, if it's supposed to be about the we instead of the I, and if it's supposed to be about the heart and not the mind, you know, that's driving energy and force of this new manifestation that we're here to do, then what does that look like? And so for some people, I think it's so fascinating. Everybody has such specific paths, like your friend you mentioned. And it really doesn't matter. Our ego mind can say, ooh, that's harsh, and but that can result in the most fulfilling experience and sense of belonging. And I think we need to belong in so many different ways. You know, there's just going to be so much diversity about what that shows up as. And I'm just trying to encourage to people to really do it intentionally. You have so many gifts, you probably are networked in so many ways. What is the slight shifts you can make to call it a community?
You know, it's interesting we're talking about this because definitely we've shared about this new paradigm for crowdfunding, which is so brand new, we haven't really talked about it. But I was talking to a woman the other day, and she said to me, she said, wow, I have never been able to ask for money. Well, first of all, the crowdfunding thing isn't about that. It's about asking people that have dreams. But I thought about this for a minute, and you know, Val, John, and I have something in common. We've been homeless. And if you are, there's not much you won't ask for to survive, right?
Right.
And, you know, the question becomes, what is it about us that will take us to the brink, the edge,
Right.
before we'll ask for a better life? What is that?
Right.
How about you?
Well, you know, for the book, I did a crowdfund campaign because I figured if I'm trying to get the word out about community and I'm not willing to make myself vulnerable and do the ask around something that matters a whole lot to me and is part of my dream structure, then I'm not walking my talk. So
what's up with that, right?
You've got to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and say, this means a lot to me. And then go, oh my gosh, look who's going to show up for me.
Right, wow.
So there is a place of vulnerability, a place of really stating what it is you most want to create in the world at any given time, and then having some trust that whoever's meant to show up will show up to whatever degree they're able to show up. And, you know, like in my case, I didn't make my goal, but it didn't matter. I made enough to get the book published, you know.
Well, we're going to give you the website where you can go and find out what this is about.
For yours is about,
because you know, when you're doing something that's, let's talk about this. Now you got me fired up here. You know, when we talk about crowdfunding, we think that it is traditional crowdfunding. We think it is a community. No, it is not. It's really an individual effort. You know, you had to say this. It was you asking a whole lot of people.
Right.
And, you know, what I found was I tried that. That didn't work for me, you know. But how are we evolving? And this is really what I want to ask you about, because these people that created this giving and receiving community, right, of crowdfunding, which becomes so organic and happens so naturally, came from an idea of community.
Right.
Now, here's the question. For you, what does it take for us to truly embrace the community concept, right? Are we rolling a boulder uphill in our society, or are we ready for the new mainstream? I coined that phrase in 2008.
For the new mainstream?
New mainstream.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I'm really adamant about is that this new collective manifestation, because it's heart-driven, is no longer about pushing any kind of boulder uphill. I am not trying to push something out in the world I think the world needs, and my ego is driving me to say, you know, notice me, and, you know, and this, you know, I need to be rich and all those things. No, it's definitely about being more in a sense of grace and from the heart and from allowing. So, and getting into a kind of flow within your dynamic. Now, I will say this, that because we're still at the sort of front edge of what community is that the thing I'm noticing right now that people are most struggling with is how do we have the real authentic conversations? How do we say the hard things, like this group isn't working for me, I don't know where to engage in this group, I don't know where my talents are needed. So even people who are like-minded are still struggling with how do I create the safe container that invites people in a natural way in which they then can initiate the projects and their sense of belonging. So we're doing a dance right now about how do we invite people in, how do we keep them engaged.
Yeah, exactly.
And we all
exactly.
So I'm playing with those kinds of formats. I have my own meditation group, which is a certain kind of engagement. I have a coaching group, which is trying to get others to see that they are co-leaders and co-initiators, and I sort of just hold the space for that and have them do a few things and see what they initiate out of that safe container. So it's almost like a lab. We're sort of in this experimental lab place right now around collective manifestation and how we get people attracted to what we're doing and get the like-hearted people. It's all about value. So it's not like-minded. Like-minded's not enough to hold a group together, to create the cohesion. Well, that's a good point.
You know, you're right. Like-minded is not enough. Like-hearted maybe, but I love what you said about values, because if you value the me over the we, and then you value the we and not the me, you can come to this place where you're integrating both. And I think, don't you think that that's really the dilemma we're in right now, where we have to give up who we are in order to become part of something else? Is that really what we have to do, or is it more like, how do I take who I am and figure out how to blend, how to, how to bring the best of me and, the best of the me and the best of the we, and come together.
And have us kind of allowing to say that, okay, I have this idea, I have this story about who the best of me is.
Oh boy, yeah, me too. I got the story.
Oh, sure. So then you come into a we situation, and you may have to adjust. You may have to be flexible about how that story of you then mixes with the whole. And so a lot of it is about allowing new narratives to even arise in your consciousness. You know, you can stand strong and confident in who you are and what you have to give, but I think the thing that I really believe is going to happen in the collective container is that we're going to find these opportunities that we would have never thought of by ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, ways that we can use our gifts and our talents with others that's going to be so much more fun and so much more exciting than anything we could have come up with in our own head. And that's why the like-minded's not enough, because there are a lot of people who want to say change the world. But, you know, there's somebody who wants to do it in an academic way. There's somebody who wants to do it in an activist way. There's somebody like me who wants to work with energy. So you really have to know what your values are in order to get those people, those pieces.
Yeah.
You know.
And don't you then have to find, what did you say? You referred to a container. Don't you have to find the container so that you can share what those values are, to even see what is showing up?
Yes, you have to be able to share it. You have to feel safe. You know, so we're no longer feeling like we're in a group of people and they're going to think you're too woo-woo. Or all those messages that you give yourself, like, I really can't speak to this conversation, they'll just think I'm out to lunch. And I hear people, even within my coaching group, who say, within their workplace, they're afraid to bring up certain topics. Unless, but I had a woman talking to a coworker and somebody else heard, somebody she would have never brought up the topic with, and they're like, oh, that's so interesting, I do that too, you know? So I think there's people actually looking for those kind of deeper connections about interesting and mystical and what have you, intuitive things that are happening in their life. But we do have to a certain extent, have some bravery in starting the conversations around it.
And that's exactly what you are doing. I want to thank you for joining us here today. And I want to ask you, what's your personal message? What do you want to leave everyone with? And tell them what your website is, how they can find out more about you. Yeah,
my personal message is that we all can be greater as a united force. We are here to be a united force from the heart. It is basically at the most basic level, our energy from the heart that we're coming from. So why not put that into a physical manifested form and play with the different ways that we can manifest things are helpful for the world.
I love it, Melissa. Thank you so much. Thanks. Awesome. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll be right back.